Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're talking directly to you, the IT leaders, CIOs, CISOs, and data architects who are dealing with a massive shift in how we handle information. We're going to explore how we can finally move away from those disjointed, manual data policies and transition into a true multi-cloud governance plane. Our ultimate goal here? To show you exactly how to mitigate your top enterprise security risks by architecting trust quite literally from the ground up.
Okay, let's dive right into this. 41%. That is the number of executives who report that they absolutely struggle to enforce data governance policies once they're actually created. It's a severe pain point in the industry right now. Think about it. We spend months drafting these perfect rules, but when it's time to make them stick across a really complex enterprise environment, the whole system just kind of breaks down. We definitely need a better way.
So here is our roadmap for today's explainer. First, we'll ground everything using a global logistics hub analogy. Then, we'll tackle 3 major enterprise security risks and how to mitigate them. Third, we'll look at the tactical 8-domain purview model. Fourth, we'll lay out a realistic 4-week implementation plan. And finally, we'll talk about linking your data directly to strategic business value.
Section 1. The Global Logistics Hub. To really get a grip on modern data governance, let's step away from the dense technical jargon for a second and frame this in a familiar operational reality.
For an IT manager, architecting trust is best understood as the design and daily operation of a smart global logistics hub. When this architecture is actually sound, your hub ensures that the exact right package reaches the exact right person exactly when they need it. And the kicker? It does this without the friction of repeated manual security checks and without the nightmare risk of a high-value package, like your Q3 financials, just being left out on some unmonitored dock.
Let's map out the core of this analogy, because it's a real game changer. Every single piece of information in your organization, that is your cargo. But you can't manage what you can't see, right? That's why your metadata and classification act as your digital manifest. It identifies the contents without making your staff open every single box. Your automated data protection rules, those are your security screenings. The automated scanners stopping hazardous materials, like social security numbers, from getting into the general population. The operational manual is your governance rules, laying out the who, what, and why for your team. And finally, the control tower represents your decentralized governance domains, where specific managers safely own their own shipping lanes.
Moving into Section 2, Mitigating Enterprise Security Risks. Let's take that logistics hub analogy and seamlessly transition it back into the real world to see how we secure that cargo against today's technical threats.
And this brilliantly illustrates the landscape we're dealing with. We can map 3 critical enterprise security risks directly to their Microsoft Purview mitigations. We're looking at inadvertent disclosure, regulatory nonconformity, and the really rapidly emerging threat of AI leakage. Let's break down the strategy for each of these.
First up, to stop inadvertent disclosure and data exfiltration, we implement a standardized 5-tier taxonomy. We're classifying data from public all the way up to restricted, which requires mandatory encryption. But the true power here? It's auto-labeling at scale. By using service-side policies, your enterprise can target 80 to 95% coverage of regulated content in just 180 days. Imagine an employee trying to quickly transfer next quarter's projections to a personal thumb drive so they can work from home. Your endpoint data loss prevention policies will automatically block that exfiltration, whether they're trying to use a USB, copy to a clipboard, or upload it to their personal Dropbox.
Next is Risk 2, Regulatory Nonconformity. This one carries massive legal liability. Traditional archiving relies on moving your data over to third-party services, which honestly just increases costs and exposes the data during the transfer. The modern fix is in-place preservation. We apply an immutable declared record status right where the data already lives. This satisfies those incredibly strict mandates that keep legal teams awake at night, like SEC Rule 17a-4. It ensures your 10-year retention while automatically purging the obsolete stuff. And when you combine that with predictive coding and e-discovery, you are significantly reducing your legal resource costs and your overall liability.
Then we have Risk 3, which is a massive modern threat: AI leakage. If sensitive internal data is used to ground large language models, it can easily resurface in totally unauthorized prompts. The mitigation here is structural. Through Microsoft Purview, any data marked with that top-tier restricted label is automatically blocked from Microsoft Copilot grounding. The framework ensures label-aware grounding and real-time response reduction. This means sensitive identifiers like bank account numbers literally never surface in AI-generated outputs. No way we're letting that slip through.
Section 3. The 8-domain purview model.
Knowing the mitigations is great, but how do we actually deploy them? Let's introduce the tactical framework.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that transitioning to this automated 8-domain model centralizes all your security, compliance, and AI risk management into one unified catalog. You aren't just buying a software tool, you're adopting a whole new operating model. You've got information protection and DLP locking the data down, lifecycle management and e-discovery handling your legal obligations, insider risk management correlating those tricky employee signals, compliance manager tracking your frameworks, and AI hub for monitoring Copilot. And it all rests on the bedrock of the data map and catalog.
Let's look at a concrete example of this in action, how we configure data quality rules within that catalog. First, data profiling and discovery assesses the structural health of your assets. Second, rule setting lets your stewards describe the ideal state using dimensions like accuracy and completeness. And third, automated health management kicks in to generate a clear, actionable data governance health control score. By profiling columns and getting these scores, you are turning abstract, messy information into highly reliable data products that your business can actually trust.
And looking ahead at the Purview AI roadmap, this gets even cooler. We're moving toward a reality where integration with Security Copilot will allow data stewards to auto-generate data quality rules and glossary terms just by asking for them. Using natural language to assist in creating data products and recommending rules is going to vastly accelerate the whole governance curation process. It's a real game changer.
Section 4, the 4-week implementation roadmap. Let's move to execution and see how this builds out tactically for a large enterprise. We can map out a totally realistic 4-week phased implementation plan to get this foundation running without grinding your operations to a halt. In weeks 1 and 2, you set up those governance domains and assign your owners, get that accountability in place. In weeks 2 and 3, your data consumers start discovering and requesting access via the unified catalog search. By weeks 3 and 4, stewards are actively improving data quality, setting rules, and running scans. And by weeks 4 and 5, your data governance office is already reviewing health management reports and taking corrective actions. It's a rapid, highly structured shift from just a concept to continuous operation in roughly a month. Finally, Section 5, linking data to value. Because constantly rolling out tech architecture means nothing if we can't prove to the board that it actually works, right? We prove it by linking our data products directly to business goals. Objectives and key results, or OKRs, provide the absolute why behind your data curation. The Purview framework allows for a direct metadata linkage between a deeply technical asset and a strategic business outcome. So, if your executive OKR is a 10% rise in sales, you can prioritize rigorous data quality management specifically for the vetted data products that support that exact goal. This is how you prove the ultimate return on investment of governed data to your leadership. By transitioning to this 8-domain model, you move away from that outdated manual point-in-time security, and you step into a continuous compliance framework. You're building a smart logistics hub where your data flows securely and without friction. Which leaves us with a final, slightly provocative question to ask yourself today. Are you governing your data, or is your data governing you? It might just be time to rethink your architecture. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.